What's going up on Grandstand Bettors? It is Tuesday, October 25th here. We got Fish in the house. Fish, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Had a big day Sunday, like we've been telling people, but it's always that curse of the Browns losing that kind of just ruins your Monday, though. So, but we're hanging in
God,
there.
I know, man. I know. It was bad. We'll get to that in a moment. We did have a big Monday. We went like 14, 15 and 0 on the day. It was absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully we can give out some winners on today's show. So, hey, listen, I know you preluded to the Cleveland Browns, and there's a reason for that. Let's go to our opening face-off and talk about them. So listen, Cleveland Browns, we're both massive Browns fans, Fish and I, and they have been awful. And let's dive into why they're awful. So Fish, give me one side of the ball that you think is the reason for them being just absolutely awful at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, so defensively, I think there's three main reasons why. First of all, where is our pass rush? Even with Garrett on the line, I think we only have 14 sacks this season. I know he's been banged up after that car crash, and Clowney's just a waste of money at this point. I mean, I think he's played 2 games maybe.
Yeah.
So just there's no pass rush at all coming from anywhere on the field, in my opinion. We have linebackers banged up. They're just kind of sitting in no man's land, doing nothing. The the key in that New England game, I was at that game actually. I was screaming my head off, just blitz every single time. Zap could not throw the ball under pressure. When he was pressured in that game, he overthrew guys by like 10 yards, missed I think like it was like 1 for 7 when he was blitzed or something. But for
What's
some
crazy
reason,
though too? Last night, Zappy looked absolutely awful because the Bears got to him every time.
yeah, it's what I'm saying. And all we did was just sit back in coverage and let him have daylights because we couldn't do crap because they just double teamed Miles Garrett every time. I don't
Yeah.
get what is going on with them, but that's the first thing. Second, our secondary, which I mean, it can be attributed to that sort of because I mean, you can only do so much when you're going up against professional wide receivers, and they're running all over the field. But they're giving up 210 passing yards per game, and they're definitely the reason why we lost to the Jets, Patriots, and Chargers. In my mind, just got absolutely shredded by Joe Flacco. Are you kidding me? Like
That was ridiculous. Yeah.
it gets me going. And then, I mean, it sounds like a broken record at this point, but why the fuck is Joe Woods still on our sideline? I don't know how many people can say it.
$1 million question. It is the $1 million question, Fish.
He's got some friend somewhere high up that's looking over his shoulder, but geez,
Is he dating Haslam's daughter or son? I don't know, man. I'm just like, yeah, the secondary is awful.
Yeah, I mean that's it for the defense. It looks like I mean, they're in the bottom half of the league for a reason. They've sucked so far this season.
The biggest thing, and a lot of people, and hey, Bob, what's going on? I see in the chat. Listen, the biggest thing, in all honesty, that's going on the defensive side of the ball, and I continue to say this during our live streams, is where is the middle of the secondary? They're just not there. There's wide open passes. I mean, Marcus Mariota is coming down the field, but in all honesty, as I listen to you talk about the defense, I was like, hey, as bad as the defense has been, I thought to myself, well, how about the offense? But then I thought to myself, no, how about Kevin Stefanski? This guy is awful, and I want to talk about him for a second because you mentioned Joe Woods. Does anyone else out there think it's just a coincidence that the 2 games Nick Chubb has carried the ball 20-plus times this season, that the Browns have won both of those games? I mean, that can't just be coincidence, right? There's got to be something to that. Yeah. In 6 games the Browns have played this season, Brissett has only thrown the ball less than 31 times twice. One was in that Jets game, which, yes, Fish, the defense, they screwed the pooch. That was Joe Woods, the defense in that one. And Stefanski, will give him a pass on that one. And the other one was just this week against the Ravens, where the offense, again, lost the game for the Browns. They had a chance to set up York with a field goal. I mean, they did eventually, but it was a 61-yarder that eventually got blocked. So getting off Stefanski, because honestly, he doesn't deserve our attention at this moment, and heading to the offense, again, Chubb needs to touch this ball. Go ahead. Go ahead, Fish.
My qualm with Stefanski, too, is I remember one of the games I came up for, they played Baltimore, I think, 2 years back, and we were down, however many points it was. We scored a touchdown, which made us down 9. And I didn't expect any more, of Freddie Kitchens at the time to go for 2 for God knows why when you're down 9. Just, kick so that you are at least in one possession. And Stefanski does the same fucking thing against the Patriots. When we're finally down 9, kick the damn ball, and then it's a one-possession game. What are you doing with 4 minutes left?
But you know what? He listen. It worked out last week against the Ravens. They were 4th and 1, where they could have kicked the field goal again. Like, kick and get the point. But when it comes down to it, did we need those points at the end of the game?
Yep.
We drive, so it really didn't matter. But listen, the offense, Chubb, he needs to touch the ball. This guy, absolute beast. I don't think I could have ever seen this guy get tackled behind the line of scrimmage ever. Hunt, on the other hand, this past week was awful. But it is hard to get yards when the O-line doesn't block anybody. I don't know if you saw those couple of plays. The O-line literally just let people into the backfield, and Hunt had nowhere to go. If you want to talk about Brissett, a lot of people in the Cleveland community not happy with him, waiting to get back to Watson. Honestly, I've been happy with Brissett. He's managed the games well, and he puts this team in position to win games. This past week, he threw a great ball to Cooper, who did not need to push off a defender and essentially cost the Browns a chance to win that game. And if you want to talk about our other receivers that the Browns have, I never thought I would say this, especially after week 1, but Njoku has been a godsend since week 2. If it wasn't for this guy and Cooper, I'm not even sure Brissett would average 100 yards per game in the passing game. But again, this brings me back to the first point I made. Stefanski, run the football, and that is all you need to know, right, Fish? I mean, come on, just run football.
It can't be that hard, but some people sometimes make you scratch your head.
All right, let's get off the Cleveland Browns. Listen, got to get the bag, man. What is up? Fish, man, that's a compliment. He thought you were Chris Evans. I went as Captain America. Man, I'd love to have Chris Evans on. So if you're watching out there, please come on our show. Hey, but again, enough about the Cleveland Browns. Let's talk some real NFL talk and discuss some Thursday night football in our home and away segment. All right, guys, in our home and away segment, this is fun. This is Pitts, Fish, and I on opposite sides of the table as we debate which team wins on Thursday night football each and every week. And let's take a look at where we stand on the season. And it looks like Matt is 2-0. Oh, Fish, you're taking it on the chin, man. I'm 2-0 after the Cardinals took care of business against the Saints this week. Now, it's a great matchup in Thursday Night Football, and unfortunately, we won't be live streaming it this week. But Baltimore Ravens and Tampa Bay Bucks, you know what, Fish? We're going to give you first crack at this week. Who are you taking in this matchup?
It's definitely going to be a close game, I think, in my mind. Just it's hard to bet against Tom Brady, when he's lost 2 games in a row. But I'm going with Baltimore in this one. The Buccaneers offense just does not look good right now, and it's really sad when you consider the playmakers they have on this team: Mike Evans, Godwin. They run Julio Jones, Fournette still in the backfield. They put up 3 freaking points against the Panthers last week. I'll say that again to just reiterate it. The Buccaneers offense with Tom Brady put 3 points up against the Panthers last week in that loss. They're 22nd overall in the NFL offensively, only putting up 17 points per game. And for the Ravens, man, it's a different story offensively, and that's why they're going to roll in this one, I think. They're 6th in points per game with 25.9. They're in top 5 for rushing and points per game, putting up 346 yards per game. Just from what I've seen so far from the Bucks, I'm not confident backing them in this one. I think the Ravens will get the job done late in this game.
Well, Fish, man, just like the last 2 weeks, you couldn't be more wrong, and I think my record proves that point. Listen, the Bucks, they are 3-4, and if you thought that Tom Brady was having problems with his wife and he cared about that, he is having problems with his offense, and he cares way more about that than his wife. I'll tell you that. Brady, these Bucks, they're going to be up against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL this week. We just literally complained about how bad the Browns were, and they almost beat the Ravens last week. Baltimore's given up 261 yards through the air. They're 7th worst in the league, which in correlation to that has them giving up 23 points per game, which is 12th worst in the league. You know, Fish, the way people speak about this Tampa Bay offense is like they are one of the worst in the league, but that's just honestly not the case. Brady in the offense, they're passing the ball just fine. 266 passing yards per game, which is near top 5 in the league, but they're struggling a lot at the rushing attack. They're last in the NFL, 64.4 yards per game. And mostly that is because of their offensive line, which Brady has been chastising each week in preparation and in maybe in an audition to go home to Giselle and use the same kind of voice towards her. Now, the other problem that Brady has is he cannot score, and who knows, that is maybe also a problem that he has with Giselle. All right, that's enough of the Brady jokes. But this offense, despite moving well between the 20s, is only averaging 17 points per game. They have the 4th worst red zone scoring percentage in all the NFL at less than 50%. But the good news is, as I'm getting on the Bucks as I'm picking against them, the good news is they're going up against one of the highest red zone scoring defenses in the league. So things will be different this week. At the end of the day, it's Tom Brady at home on Thursday Night Football. And even though the Browns lost to the Ravens, they were in that game, should have won that game, honestly. And if Brady loses this week, he might honestly retire Friday. So give us the Bucks to win this game, and let's get Brady rolling here at 3-4 and start winning. Go ahead.
I got 2 words for you, man. Calais Campbell. Just like Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, they flooded the middle of the pocket. They blitzed all day up the middle, and Brady couldn't do crap. This guy's going to get a ton of pressure up the middle, and Brady can't move in the pocket anymore. He's horrible. He just falls down when he's under pressure.
Every quarterback falls down. I have not watched an NFL game where literally no quarterbacks just fall down. I mean, if you watched Monday Night last night, Matt Jones, before he got taken out, literally just fell down.
He's coming off an injury, though. Brady just doesn't move.
Brady's 45. Brady used to walk uphill both ways in the snow. You're a young kid. You don't even know. I'm ending home and away there. I'm going to go 3-0. We're taking it, and we're going to cash that ticket. But listen, for those of you out there, if you do want to see our best bet for that game, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune in to our YouTube channel each and every Thursday, as we do have a video pick with our Thursday Night Football free pick each and every week. But hey, listen, Fish, enough about the pros. Let's take in a little college football this week in our new segment, Scorecard. So welcome into our first ever Scorecard, where Fish and I give out our rankings. This week, we're going to give you our top 5 college football teams in the country, and we let you, the viewer, decide how we should be scored. So, Fish, start us out. What is your top 5 in college football right now?
At number 5, I'm going with TCU. I think teams are sleeping on this team. I said it last week, that line against Kansas State was too low, and they showed that it was. They've got a solid defense that's getting better every week, in my opinion, watching them. And when you have an offense that's putting up 44.7 points per game and well over 500 yards per game, you got to give some recognition to this team. And I think they can at least put up some games with these top college football teams. So number 5, I'm going with TCU. Right above them, number 4, I'm going with the Clemson Tigers. I think they're just a shoe-in here, especially come around the end of the year. The ACC is a breeze this year. They've already got through the hardest teams on their schedule. Georgia, Tennessee have to play each other. Ohio State, Michigan have to play each other. It's just, I mean, Clemson's going to get into the college football championship just because they're going to be undefeated. But I still think they have a solid defense. It's I think in the top of the league in points per game. And although DJ, had struggled a bit against Syracuse, he's had a very solid year. They've got playmakers at running back and wide receiver to put up points. So I've got him at number 4. Moving up to number 3, I'm going with the Tennessee Vols. They proved to us they're the real deal with that win over Alabama. We took them to cover the spread in that one. They're putting up 50 points per game, and Hooker has looked very good this season at quarterback. I think it's going to be tough for them to get to the college football playoffs, considering they're in the East with Georgia. So even if they win that game, they'll most likely have to play Alabama again in the SEC championship, which we know how teams historically do against Saban twice in the same season. So I still think.
But Fish, real quick, if they did beat if they did lose, they went undefeated into that college football matchup against Alabama in the SEC championship, and they lost. Who do you put in? I mean, is it Alabama or Tennessee?
That's tough. I guess it always comes down to like win margin. If it's like a close game, I think they probably give it to Tennessee, especially if Tennessee beats Georgia in the regular season. So there's a lot of factors at play. But I like them at 3 right now. I think they look like the number 3 team in the country right now on both sides of the ball. Brings me number 2. We got Ohio State Buckeyes from the Big Ten. After their first 2 games, their defense has turned the corner in my mind. And after that win against Notre Dame, the closest game they've had was a 29-point win over Michigan State. They've just been shredding every team they play. And granted they aren't the best team so far, but I think they're going to roll in this one against Penn State this weekend. And they just have tons of playmakers on offense to keep them going. So I got them at number 2. And at number 1, we still got the Georgia Bulldogs. They're still the team to beat in my mind. And it's really no brainer. I mean, they haven't lost a game yet this season. They're beating their opponents by 32 points per game. And they do have a tougher schedule too, just like Tennessee. They've got Kentucky and probably maybe Bama if they make the SEC championship. But I mean, they've showed us once again they're still a team to beat after that nice run last year. So I've got them at number 1.
All right. Well, hey, in the chat, let us know, how do you grade Fish's scorecard 5 through 1? I'll tell you right now. I agree with a couple of them. I want to go over my 5 real quick. Listen, in number 5, we're similar. I got TCU. I actually think this one's a little controversial. People might have a problem with this one right off the bat because they lack a little bit of defense on that side of the football. But honestly, I don't really care about them giving up points because they have not scored less than 38 points on the season in any game, and they can outscore anyone. With the rest of TCU's schedule, it's actually kind of set up for them to run the table. And what do you think, Fish? Chance for them to win that Big Ten and make the college football this year?
Big
12. Big 12.
Yeah. Big 12. I totally see it. I mean, it's only that final game that I think is stopping them right now. And with that on the line at that point, I think their offense will still just fly through that game. Doesn't matter if they give up 35 points because they'll probably put up, like you said, 49 or something. So,
and you know what? That's why, like, I know everybody hates to bet with teams that have a shitty defense, but this one has shown us all year long that if you want to give up 35, they're going to get 36 at least. If they give up 45, they're going to give up 40, or they're going to get 46 at least. So I'm going to ride them out a little bit longer. At number 4, wasn't even on your top 5, and as a Notre Dame fan, it kills us to have to talk about them. But let's be honest, they took on a Penn State team a couple of weeks ago and literally put up 41 points on what was considered a best defense in college football. We hate it, but Michigan, they have been impressive so far with that rushing attack. And honestly, I'm unsure that anybody can stop them. And then it hurts us even more because at number 3, I know you have them at number 2, but we can't put them that high. I'm not putting Michigan, I'm not putting Ohio State any higher than 3, and we have Ohio State at 3. The Buckeyes, again, kills us to put there, but they have shown us that they are an unbelievable college football team. They trounced Iowa, putting up 54 points this past Saturday. Most points, check this out, that Iowa has given up since 1995. CJ Stroud is going to be the number 1 prospect in the draft, and the entire passing game gives defenses nightmares when they're preparing to face them. Again, controversial with our rankings, but I'm going to put them at number 3 and let us explain. At number 2, we're going to take the Tennessee Vols here. The Vols beat Alabama at home, and as good as Ohio State has been, they have not faced a team close this season to the caliber of the Crimson Tide, and the Vols have Kentucky, Georgia, and South Carolina still left in this one. SEC championship, maybe, if they can beat Georgia as well. I honestly think Tennessee's the better team here. They beat Ohio State, and the team that they quote-unquote did face, and I hate to say this again, was Notre Dame. Notre Dame has been awful. They lost to Marshall, and they lost to Stanford, and it's like every time you look, and they've had problems with UNLV, and Ohio State struggled for about 2.5 quarters against Notre Dame. So I'm going to put Tennessee at the moment above Ohio State. Do I think that fixes itself probably as we move forward? Yes, because as I mentioned, look at that schedule coming up for Tennessee. And we both agree on the number 1 team in the nation, Georgia. Speaking of them, they're here because they played 2 games against decent opponents, but they absolutely destroyed them, scoring 48 points or more, holding Oregon to only 3 and South Carolina only 7 points. That's 10 points against both those teams in 8 quarters. Of course, they should be number 1. So that is my scorecard. That is Fish's scorecard. Let us know in the chat who you think has the better scorecard. But before we get into our picks for this week, we do have to bring up our segment that everybody loves. It's whether you're hot, dependable, or cold, and that is going to be in the penalty box. So it is time to let everybody know what team's hot, cold, and dependable. So Fish, right now, I want to know, what's your hottest team? Who are you riding day in, day out right now?
Yeah, I like Tulane against the spread is my hot team. They're 7-1 against the spread this season. Cashed a few tickets on them so far. And I think there's going to be some great opportunities coming up where the books might get these lines wrong with them. They're playing, teams like UCF, SMU, and Cincinnati, which I think the way Tulane's been playing this year, those are all winnable games for them. And Cincinnati might be favored. Same with SMU because they look solid, but they've been great offensively for an AAC team, and their defense has been even better, especially their secondary. I think they're in a groove right now. They've won 4 straight. I think they're hot, and they should cover the spread easily in a few more of their games this season.
I like it. I'm actually going to go the NBA, which we're just a few games in now. Portland Trailblazers, they're my hot team. They're 4-0 against the spread, and actually they've won outright in each game. They face some good talent, in my opinion. I'm not a huge NBA fan, but they face the Suns, Nuggets, and Lakers. Although, since LeBron is on the Lakers, I'm going to tell you that the Lakers suck because I absolutely cannot stand LeBron. But they're going to face a Heat team. And with the Blazers averaging over 117 points so far this season, we find it hard to believe that they're going to struggle against the 1-3 Heat. There's no line out at the moment, but I looked at this game, and I think if you can find the Blazers at anything at 4 points or less, I think that's a good play there to take the Blazers. I don't know. What do you think, Fish? What do you think about the Blazers?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, honestly, I was kind of skeptical with them. I think were like the second worst in defensive efficiency last year. And I didn't know, how Damian Lillard was going to come back this year, but they've definitely proved a lot of people wrong, and they look really good right now.
They do. And speaking of good-looking people, let's look at a dependable team. What dependable team has really been good for you lately?
Yeah, I'm sticking with the NBA with this one, and I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets on the over on the
My
points.
team. It's my
Yeah,
team.
there you go. They're 3-0 on the over so far this season, and I really don't see that changing anytime soon. There are atrocious defensively, which is half the problem. Well, half the solution to get hitting the over. But they also know how to score, as they're fourth in the NBA right now with 122 points per game. Until the books start pushing this line up, like even almost till like to 240, I would still just keep on taking the over.
Wow, that high, huh?
Yeah, I mean, all their games I think have gone over that. It's insane just how lackadaisical they are on defense, but then they just sprint up the court and score fast in the shot clock. It's a shoe in right now. I think they're definitely a team to ride with on the over this season.
Listen, I'll be honest with you, Fish. That is my team, Charlotte Hornets, and they are a very frustrating team to watch because of their defensive play.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they get the lead and they're up like 14 points, you literally walk out of the room, go take a piss, you come back and you're like, how are they down 12? It's a very frustrating team. So I would not be surprised if you're correct to keep riding their overs. But the books do adjust, and like you said, that's why it might get up to 240, 240, something like that. My dependable team at the moment, it's funny, it also has to do with the over. It's in the NHL, and it's with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're 3-4 on the season, and although that's not great, when they play at home, there is one thing that is consistent: goals. They are 4-0 to the over at home this season, and that is not because of their offense by any means necessary. They're giving up 3.86 goals per game and almost 35 shots on goal per game. Tonight, they face off against the Arizona Coyotes, who are also horrible on defense. In fact, they're giving up a league worst 5.2 goals per game, and the total is sitting at 6.5. So if you like trends tonight, both these teams in that matchup, they're giving up about 9 goals per game. The only question, the only hesitation in my mind is, can the offenses play better than how bad the defenses are? Because I'm telling you, those offenses aren't great. That's probably why the line's still at 6.5. But 9 goals combined, I mean, that looks like a good one to me. So we've talked about our hot teams. We've talked about our dependable teams. And like all sports bettors, Fish, what team is making you rip your hair out right now?
This is mostly personal. I'm in a loser, or was in a loser's pool. Let's preface that. Last week I took the Steelers to lose against the Buccaneers. That did not happen. And then this week I took the Panthers to lose to the Buccaneers, and that did not happen, which knocked me out. So definitely some personal shade at this one, but I'm killing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just they just haven't done anything to impress me or make me want to bet them right now in any fashion. They put up 21 points in the last 2 weeks, lost back-to-back games while being double-digit favorites going into those games. Just until I see some spark offensively, something click with their new coach, I'm staying away from this team and I'm killing them for now.
Yeah. I would agree. Like, listen, the Tampa Bay Bucks, I know we took them there on our little segment for Thursday Night Football. If they can't get it done this Thursday night, I honestly think Brady might step away from football. I know he came out saying he's not going to do that, but I might see it. Listen, I'm gonna stick in the NFL with a team that's making me pull out our hair. That's the Indianapolis Colts. They're killing us right now, but honestly, we haven't really bet them as of late. But they're making us rip out our hair because they should be a team that you could bet on. Ryan is now out for the rest of the season, and it's hard to imagine that Sam Ehlinger is going to turn things around for this club. If you're a Colts fan, you have to look at Frank Reich. This guy needs to be in the penalty box with us as well, because he had Rivers, Wentz, and now Ryan, and he has failed with every single one of them. And now those guys, they're not elite quarterbacks in the least, but you couldn't do anything with those 3 guys. Come on. Indy against the spread is 3-4, but we're putting them in the box because with a team that should be putting up points, this team is 1-6 to the under right now, or 6-1 to the under. They played well Commanders, or they play this week, the Commanders, and you would think they would play well against them, but with Sam Ehlinger, you just don't know what's going on. We don't want anything to do with this team. The last time we took the over on this team, it hit the under, even though there was like 30 points in the first half. They just have no click. They have no scheme. You don't know what they're going to do. And what has happened to Jonathan Taylor and the rushing offense? You know what? Frank Reich, you remind me of Kevin Stefanski, and because of that, we are leaving the Colts and you in the penalty box this week, and we're going to let ourselves out and close the door behind us because, Fish, it is time to get to our picks for the night and for the week. So, hey, let's light the lamp. So Fish and I have a bet for tonight and one for this week. So Fish, let's start with you. And what do you have for tonight?
I'm looking at the late slate in the NBA. I've got the Warriors and Suns under 227 tonight. The Suns are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, especially all last year. That's why their game totals have gone under two of their first three games so far this season. The Warriors can put up points, which is why I think that total is a bit inflated in this one. But this game just feels like more of a low-scoring, gritty matchup between two of the top teams in the Western Conference than a shootout like most of the Warriors games have been. So I like under 227 in this one.
Awesome, nice. And we were on an under last night that was a bit lucky, a bit unlucky, a bit lucky. It just kind of went back and forth. What was it? Celtics, right?
Yeah, Celtics. Bulls under 225 and a half. I think it finished at 223.
We covered it by 2.5 points, right?
Yeah.
Easy winner. And then we were also on Memphis money line. And for those of you that don't know, Fish is our NBA handicapper. 2-0 last night. Great job. Tonight, yours truly, the NHL handicapper. Of course, I'm looking in the NHL. I'm looking at Sabres Kraken on the late night. Buffalo having a great start to this season. They're 4-1. Seattle has looked great at times, but although they get a lot of leads in games, they're giving up those goals late, and they are just choking. In fact, we took the Blackhawks against them a few days ago. They were down early, came back, won the game. Eric Comrie, he is most likely going to get the start in this one. He's coming off a 46 save out of 48 shots on goal performance last week. I believe that was against Calgary. Honestly, we have looked back and forth on this game, and even off air, Fish, I told you I think I'm on the wrong side, but I'm going to go contrarian to what everything's. Buffalo opened this one at minus 104, okay? Martin Jones, he's going to be in goal tonight, and he has been struggling on the season for the Kraken. He's given up 3.9 goals per game, and he has honestly been struggling for the last 3 years. As I mentioned, they opened up Buffalo minus 104. They're now almost plus 120. Money's coming in on them, which kind of tells you reverse line movement, which would tell you to go Seattle's way. However, I got to stick with my guns here, and I am going to take the Buffalo Sabres at plus money. I think they pull out the win tonight, and I think they continue to look hot. So, again, Buffalo Sabres plus 116 over the Seattle Kraken. Now, Fish, I know you're looking ahead to the weekend as we all are in football. What do you got for this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, I got a good game between the North Carolina Tar Heels and Pittsburgh. I'm going with the Tar Heels to cover in this one at -3. This is a revenge game for them after that 7-point loss last year to Pitt. And it's been being played on UNC's turf on their home field. And Pitt's coming off that just horrible loss to Louisville. I think they ended up only putting up 10 points in that game. It's looked bad in that game. I think UNC is going to be all over them in this one. Their defense, as we all know, it is pretty bad, but I think they have no problem outscoring the Panthers in this one and maintaining a touchdown lead throughout. So I'm going with the Tar Heels at -3 this weekend.
You think that's going to be a shootout, Fish? Because honestly, every time I watch a North Carolina game, I got to look at the over there. I mean, every team that plays North Carolina puts up points.
Yeah. No,
all right, so we're going to look at our best bet for the weekend. We're looking at NFL week number 8 and a matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. And let's be honest, Arizona looked completely different in that lineup with Hopkins. And again, I'm going to repeat. Did the Cardinals win on Thursday Night Football, Fish? Because I'm pretty sure I won that one. Yeah, I'm sure they did. No, they put up 42 points on Thursday Night Football to be exact. And they have a rested team here, having played on Thursday. So a couple extra days rest. And they're heading to Minnesota to play the Vikings. And speaking of rested, Minnesota Vikings coming off a bye week. They should be firing on all cylinders in this one. Both these teams, they're top 10 in passing attempts per game. Arizona is second in the NFL, averaging 70 plays per game. Look for this to be a passing affair this week. And Hopkins back in the lineup. The Cardinals are going to continue to put up points. So this is an early bet for us in the week. We usually don't put out our NFL bets until, Saturday night. But I will tell you this. We like this one. Get it now. NFL Week 8. Bet Cardinals Vikings over 48.5 points. Make sure you grab that early. I think that's going to rise to about 50. You have anything you're looking at else, Mike, or is that about it?
No, that's about it that I've got for now.
All right. Listen, we have a full week ahead of us. Again, we're not live streaming on Thursday or Sunday, and maybe not on Monday on Halloween. We might be at the Browns-Bengals game, not sure. Working on finding tickets there. So our free picks are coming out Thursday for Thursday Night Football. Friday night, we have our NCAA free picks. Saturday, our NFL free picks. And then Monday, we'll have our Monday night free pick. There's a lot going on this week at Grandstand Bettors. But a big thank you to all of those who joined us in the chat for this one. Kirk, I saw you, man, putting up some good picks. What's up, Alex? Thanks for joining. But that brings us to another edition or another end of our 2 goals, 1 puck. So, Fish, you got anything to leave us with? Any words of wisdom?
I'll something prepared for next week for sure.
Okay. A man of few words, but of good picks. So there's only one thing left to do. Roll the credits.